The 2022 Mutua Madrid Open is well underway on the women's side, and we already have some mouthwatering matchups to look forward to. Today, we saw the top half of the draw kick off their campaigns, and we literally saw 0 upsets. Starting with the top performance of the day, Naomi Osaka made her 2022 clay debut, and she passed her first test with flying colors. I was a bit nervous for Naomi because she drew Anastasia Potapova, who just came off winning the Istanbul clay court title, and she came through qualifiers here in Madrid. Riding a 9-match winning streak, it's safe to say Potapova was in form at the moment. Naomi started off the match very strong, bombing 120 mph on returnables and taking nice cracks on return. Anastasia, however, got first blood, breaking Osaka to go up 3-2. Now, unfortunately for Potapova, things will only go downhill as Naomi broke back to win the last 10 of 11 games to seal a convincing 6-3, 6-1 victory. I was extremely impressed by Naomi's performance today. It was definitely one of her best ever clay court matches, and she looked so much more comfortable on the dirt than she did last year, where she was struggling to find her footing and didn't really appear to have a solid game plan. Osaka seems to be at a much better mental headspace too, which I think has allowed her to go all in for this clay court season. The Japanese woman apparently spent weeks training on clay in Mallorca, and those hard yards have definitely paid off. Naomi's also talked openly about how she's been eager to tackle the clay and make real strides this season. In her pre-tournament press conference, she said, "I'm trying to embrace my mistakes compared to the previous years as well, so I'm not that hard on myself. If I make a mistake, or if I don't move up to the ball fast enough, because I find on clay you actually have to move much more, but if I do stuff like that, I just tell myself not to be mad. I'm still a student, so I should try to keep learning." I find it interesting that she said this because one of the main things I noticed from her match today was how quick she was getting up to the ball rather than just waiting for it to come to her. Osaka had very aggressive intent on her shots, which paid off nicely because there was less hesitancy and her ball went through the court much quicker. I, on the other hand, would have thought that on clay you take that additional time from the slower conditions and let the ball come to you more. But I also think it's important to remember that you can play on clay in different ways because an aggressive baseliner like Osaka would want to play more to their strengths, which is their aggressive ground game. Just look at Ostapenko, for example, who won Roland Garros, perhaps playing the most fearless, ball-bashing brand of tennis yet. I think what sets Osaka apart from the likes of an Ostapenko is the consistent amount of margin she gets on her shots, even when she does hit hard. We saw that throughout the match today, where Naomi was able to get good net clearance, not going too close to the lines, while still being able to overpower Potapova. Osaka has also told reporters how she's been trying to take a page from the greatest clay court player of all time, Rafael Nadal himself. "I think I stole one of the things he did, and I've been practicing it recently," Osaka said. "It'll either go really good or really bad. There's like no in between. But I think as I've been doing it, it's been going pretty well." I didn't really notice any drastic changes from Osaka today, but I did notice her assuming a deeper return position, even on the second serve. This is smart because she won't be able to successfully attack the second serve as much on clay, so by backing up and giving herself ample time, she also gives herself greater opportunities to actually start and ultimately win points by getting that first ball back in play. The deeper return positioning also enabled her to hit deeper, more calculated returns, which almost always got Potapova in distress and on her back foot. I don't know if she got this from Rafa too, but Naomi also went up the line religiously in this match, not being afraid to change up the cross-court dynamics. I found this especially surprising because first, Naomi is the cross-court queen and wins countless baseline exchanges by the constant pressure and angles of those types of groundies. Moreover, it's customary to engage in a lot of cross-court rallies on clay because not only do they open up the court more, but a down-the-line shot would be less effective because your opponent has more time to get to it. Plus, the ball doesn't go through the court as quickly on clay. However, I think Naomi's aggressive intent, proactively getting up to the ball, helped her here. I also think there's a bit of a surprise factor because opponents expecting a cross-court shot would be caught off guard, especially if the down-the-line shot is struck cleanly like how Osaka hit it. Naomi's serve was also fundamental to her success today, as her frequent unreturnables got her easier holds and helped her get out of trouble whenever Potapova had smaller openings. The serving numbers from Osaka were pretty solid too, hitting 6 aces and winning 88% of first serve points, while 56% on second serve. Naomi was just firing on all cylinders, from the fire kit to the improved fitness and game. Just take a look at this match point, how she runs all the way around to hit that forehand inside out, then that slide into the second forehand, and finally the put away shot. Woo! She's coming for it. She's coming for it. I'm telling you, she's coming for it. 5 in Paris. She's coming for it. I also think that's some of what she meant by incorporating Nadal's pattern of play into her game by running around the backhand more to hit the forehand. She alluded to Iga and Rafa during the press today when talking about making that change, and I love to see it, honestly. I said this in my draw preview, but I can see Osaka going pretty far in this tournament. The faster conditions here in Madrid should suit her game well, as it did for Petra Kvitova, a 3-time champion in Spain, and Aryna Sabalenka, our defending champ. Now, both of those women did lose in the first round this year, but that's a different story. Up next for Naomi is Sara Sorribes-Tormo, who can be a very tricky matchup, as the Spanish woman is a classic clay court grinder who just makes you play every last ball. Sorribes-Tormo did beat Naomi Love in 3 2 years ago on clay. Granted, Osaka was not in the best mental headspace during that match. Tormo took out 13th seed Pavlyuchenkova here, so I do expect a good match between these two, but I still think Osaka should come through. The Japanese woman could also face Maria Sakkari in round 3, who survived a shaky encounter with Madison Keys to advance in 3 sets. This was yet another match Madison should have won, but she was her own worst enemy, hitting a whopping 70 unforced errors. Please get it together, Maddie. Please. In the same section, we have a blockbuster second rounder on our hands, as 8th seed Danielle Collins will meet Bianca Andreescu. Collins dispatched of Olympic gold medalist Monica Puig 7-5-6 love. Puig, by the way, was making her return to tennis after a long injury-induced layoff. Andreescu, meanwhile, had to fight through some rust and kinks midway through her match with American Alison Riske, but finished strong, winning the last 9 of 10 games to seal a 6-4, 3-6-6 love victory. This will be Collins and Andreescu's first ever career meeting, and I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to play out stylistically. Andreescu, as we all know, has a bag full of tricks, but I think she's going to have to go for her shots more against Danielle, who really isn't too bothered by the slides and hack shots. I do give Collins the slight edge here because she is more match fit and match tough than BB, but the Canadian does seem to be rounding her game into form, so I wouldn't be surprised if she happened to come out victorious. Another US Open champ who won the Madrid opener was Emma Raducanu, who defeated Teresa Martincova 7-6-6 love. Raducanu played Martincova a few weeks ago during a Fed Cup tie, where the Brit claimed her first ever tour level victory on clay. That match was a dogfight, and so was this one early on. Martincova was taking it to Emma and held a 5-2 lead in the first set. Raducanu, as she always does though, problem solved and found a way through, clawing her way back to ultimately claim the last 11 of 12 games to book her spot in round 2. I think Emma did a great job of staying patient during those crucial moments, really building the points with her forehand and not pulling the trigger too soon unless she had a definite put away shot. Raducanu's confidence clearly grew after she claimed the opening set, not being afraid to consistently take balls out of the air and move forward. A lot of people were saying that it was reminiscent of her US Open run, and while I wouldn't go that far, I will give her her 10s because that was a strong comeback performance. I think the clay season will benefit Raducanu as it'll likely help her discover more nuances about her game. I also think she's a great natural clay court mover, and the slower clay court conditions will give her ample time to prepare on her shots, which can bode well for her. Now, Emma did receive a bit of criticism earlier this week after announcing her split with coach Torben Beltz, who she worked with for less than 6 months. Beltz had previously worked with Angie Kerber, coaching her to 3 slam titles. Raducanu didn't really say it was any fault of Beltz, but the Brit feels comfortable in her progress at the moment, and says that she feels the main key to her continued success is consistently practicing with people that essentially hit the ball harder. From Raducanu's quotes, I get the impression that she views her coach more of like a less active mentor who does things more from the sidelines, while Emma takes primary control. She told the press, "I feel like I don't really need a conventional this title. Emma Raducanu's coach. I feel like growing up, I have always been very responsive to the situation, and it has not always been straightforward. I'm not necessarily stressing or panicking to find a new coach. From a young age, I haven't necessarily always had a coach, and when I was training alone growing up, I had to learn to be my own coach. I feel like something that I am pretty good at is actually understanding the game, studying it. A lot of the time, I feel like I know the answers. Of course, a coach's experience is very valuable at certain times, but the majority of the time, I feel that I already know the answer to the question I am asking. I understand where Raducanu is coming from, but it might come off as a bit know-it-all-esque and push potential coaches away from working with her altogether. Currently, she is working with an LTA coach, Ian Bates, who she worked with previously as a junior. There are talks that she'll hire Ricardo Piatti, who worked with the likes of Jannik Sinner, Maria Sharapova, and Novak Djokovic. In the meantime, Emma would now face fellow youngster Marta Kostyuk, who dominated Clara Towson's 6-3, 6-2. This will be an interesting matchup because Kostyuk crushed Raducanu back in the fall during the Transylvania Open. All the other seeds remaining in this section progressed. Garbiñe Muguruza claimed a solid 7-5, 6-2 win over Ajla Tomljanovic, while Leylah Fernandez and Elena Rybakina took out Andrei Petkovic and Oisin Dodin respectively. Looking down at the bottom half, who will start their second rounds today, the third section is wide open after Aryna Sabalenka, Karolina Pliskova, and Elena Ostapenko all fell in round 1. Despite Sabalenka being the highest seeded out of those three, her exit was the least surprising because she drew Amanda Anisimova, who is now 4-0 lifetime head-to-head over the Belarusian. I feel like now this is Anisimova's section to lose, as she's the best remaining player at the moment. Azarenka is still there and she can cause some problems, but she's a bit hit or miss herself. Conversely, all the seeds and top players are still alive in the fourth section, including Simona Halep, who sets up a blockbuster clash with Paula Badosa. I did originally pick Halep to win this one, but I think I'm going to change my pick because Badosa looked very impressive over Veronika Kudermetova, crushing her 6-3, 6-love. Coco Gauff also looked very solid with a decisive 6-love, 6-2 win over Anna Schmiedlova. That's all for today's video, and let me know in the comments what you think about Osaka's debut, Raducanu's comeback and coaching comments, plus all the other results in the comment section below. Also, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post more Madrid update videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.